founder of the company 33 years ago. We're up to about 360 locations right now. Today's webinar, we're going to have you introduce you to 4 Signworld owners. Sheree, are we waiting for someone else?
Ron was on here, but now I don't see him anymore. So we'll give him a few minutes to hop back in here.
Ron
Cochran.
Ron Cochran. Okay, great. So we're going to let each one of the 4 Signworld owners introduce themselves, tell you a little bit about their businesses, and then we're going to open it up to questions. So we're going to go in order, and what we like to do is a round robin approach where you ask one question, then we go on to the next person and the next, and come back at the end to those who still have more questions. Trust me, folks, trust me, we'll get all your questions answered in the time allotted. So Mike Fox, you're going to be up first. Please be prepared. Paul Bohr, and then Clay, and on with the list that you see on the screen in front of you. When you do ask a question, make it simple, make it open-ended. Whatever your greatest fear is, whatever your greatest concern, turn it into a simple open-ended question. Don Conklin, did you want to add something?
I'm just waving to Ron.
Oh, okay. Waving around. Got it. Oh, there he is. Okay, we got Ron Cochran online. Good. So Ron, we're just ready to get started and have everybody introduce themselves. So we'll start with Don Conklin. Don, tell everybody about yourself and your business.
All right, my name, my business, Pinnacle Custom Signs. We're outside of Atlanta in a suburb called Beaufort, Georgia. Started in 2011, so that was 10 years ago. We are now up to 21 employees, 12,500 square feet. Last year, we squeezed in at $3.5 million in business. And before this, my wife and I were in telecom for 25 years.
Great. Thank you, Don. Roger Ricketts. Roger, give us a wave. Tell us a little bit about your business.
Yep. Okay. Roger Ricketts. My company is called Visual Signs. We are just west of downtown Orlando, so we're in the city of Orlando. We started our business at the start of 19, so we're actually 2 years old, just starting our 3rd year. In 2020, which was our second year of operations, we did just shy of 400,000. We're a staff of 3. My previous career was completely unrelated. I was in the field of industrial metals.
Okay. And Ron Cochran. Ron, give us a wave. Tell us about your business.
Hey, how are you? Sorry about that. Had to get on my cell phone. Laptop didn't work. But Ron Cochran, Image Tech Signs, located in northern New Jersey in the New York City metro area. Been in business for 4 years. In 4,000 square feet. We've got 3 full-time and 1 part-time employee. And our sales projection for the year is 6.25. And before this, I was in custom office products manufacturing and flexographic printing plate manufacturing. Not that that means anything to anyone.
Thank you, Ron. And last but not least, Jack Werner. Jack, tell us.
Everybody. I joined Signworld back in 1995. Named my company 3D Signs after 3 of my boys, Dennis, Danny, and David. Started in 1,100 square feet with a staff of 1, ended up in 5,000 square feet, staff of 11, doing 1.3 million in sales before I sold that operation. Joined Ken at the corporate office to learn his end of the business as a sort of a partnership arrangement. Finished buying him out 6.5 years ago. Took over as president owner of Signworld. We kept Ken on in lots of roles, but sort of a half retirement position for him. So when I answer questions today, if it goes to my experience running a Signworld operation, I'll speak from that perspective. If it goes more towards training and support and talking about the rest of the system, I'll speak from that perspective. So depending on the question, my question answers might go left or right.
Okay. All right, well, let's get started. Oh, Sheree, I'm sorry, we didn't give Sheree a chance to introduce herself. Sheree is our Director of Marketing. Sheree, say hello.
Hello, everyone. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Signworld. I've been here 3 years on Friday, actually.
Hey.
Yeah, and hopefully forever and ever. But yeah, you'll probably be seeing a lot of emails from me. I do all the communications, so you could put a face to a name. Thanks, guys, for coming.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get started. So, Mike Fox, Mike, come off of mute. Give us a question.
Sure, I'm very early in my exploration of the opportunity, and if maybe just high level, first 30, 60, 90 days of what the expectations would be and how much interdependence on sign world for getting started if you've got no background in sign businesses.
Okay. So, Don Conklin, what was the first 90 days like, and how much help did you get, interdependence did you have on Signworld?
I tell you what, Signworld did a great job of training us. You know, they basically gave us a business in a box. They gave us the equipment and the training and the knowledge and then the access to the network. So without Signworld, we wouldn't have been able to get out of the door. And then the first 30, 60, 90 days, it was basically getting questions answered and then getting out the door and getting customers through networking opportunities and things like that. So yeah, first 90 days is a lot of, you know, going to meetings and getting things done and getting your person hired and getting them on board, and Signworld helped with all that. So,
Okay. And Ron Cochran, 4 years in business. What was the first 90 days like, and your dependence on Signworld?
Yeah, you will leverage the Signworld network heavily. Network of owners, I mean by that. So I had a call before I opened up asking me if I did frontlit channel letters. And honestly, I didn't know what the hell it was, but I said yes. And talked to Dan. He told me, gave me a couple names to call. An owner, Chad Schultz, literally walked me through the entire thing. He helped me price it. Told, just absolutely held my hand through it openly. You're going to leverage that network heavily, and I still do. But you're going to leverage the owner network heavily early on.
Roger Ricketts, 2 full years in business. The first 90 days and the Signworld organization helping you.
Yeah, I mean, the first 90 days is kind of a bit of a blur. The sign will do a really good job of training, but the reality is the sign business is a very, very broad business with a lot of different terminology. So you're going to get bombarded with questions or products that you've never heard of. And you really rely both on Signworld and the owner network extensively in the first 90 days, just to get just to answer questions. It sort of gets a little easier after that, but it's vital for that first 90 days.
Okay. And Jack Werner, your thoughts?
There's 5 weeks worth of training prior to open with a lifetime of training after. The 5 weeks worth of training is functional. It teaches you how to do what Ron said of absolutely tell a customer I can take care of it and run out the door going, how in the heck am I going to do that? But knowing there's a whole army of Signworld owners behind you that will walk you through those projects and help you understand. And as Roger said, that no matter what we train you on, the first project is going to be something unique because this is custom manufacturing. So in the beginning, you're learning what a sign is, how to ask questions to the customer, to be able to go back to others and learn how to answer those questions. It's networking through the community. It's getting the website up. There's lots to do, but there's a lot of opportunity out there.
Okay. Paul Bohr, Clarkson, Michigan. Paul, come off of mute. Hello, go ahead, Paul.
How long did it take for you to get to making profits or breaking even?
Okay. So how many months were you in business before you broke even cash on cash? Don Conklin?
month 2, second month.
Jack, Ron Cochran?
I think it was the 7th month.
Roger Ricketts?
Month 8.
Say again?
Month 8.
8. And Jack Werner?
Our average is 5 months. Some do a little bit sooner, some a little bit quicker, but comparing that to most franchises out there of a year to year and a half, our break even is quite quick compared to that. Part of that is the low overhead of an industrial site with just one employee. You're pre-marketing the business before you open. The customer is paying a 50% deposit cash up front. So there's a lot of things that are going to help mitigate how long it takes to cash positive.
Okay. Clay Level, come off of mute. Go ahead, Clay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. We've had a lot of opportunities to do some validations, and one of the questions that we've been trying to figure out is we've seen some of the models, but how much capital do you actually need, or do you wish you actually had in the first year of business? Obviously, there's going to be money you're going to be putting back in. How much capital do you actually need, or do you wish you had in the first year of business?
Okay. Just to remind everybody, the Signworld recommended package is 210,000 all in for the business. That's 155,000. That is the Signworld package. Another 25,000 of startup costs, and another 30,000 of cash reserve. Total of 210. Don Conklin, your thoughts?
I never used the reserve I put aside. So, we started making money fairly quickly. So I would say that the Signworld recommended for capital worked for us. Let's put it was only 20,000 10 years ago.
Okay. Ron Cochran?
Yeah, the number was pretty accurate from Signworld. I wanted to do some extra web marketing, so I ended up using a little extra capital, but that's just because I kind of went above and beyond on that part.
All right. Roger Ricketts?
Yeah, I think it's doable. So I personally, to be quite frank, I think it's a little on the low side, but I think it's definitely doable.
And Jack Werner?
I think most Signworld owners would tell you the number was enough. But that being said, knowing that some take a little bit longer, if you can put a little bit extra aside to make sure you're prepared for a little bit longer, always prudent to do. You don't mean you're going to need it, but at least you're not looking for it.
Okay. Russ McGregor. Russ, come off of mute. Go ahead, Russ.
Hi. So that was a great question. One of my questions. So I could you tell me where your first 5 customers came from? How you identified and found those first 5 customers?
Okay. Don Conklin, your first 5 customers, did you find them, or did they find you? How did they find you? How did you find them? And who are they, or who were they?
First couple were friends and family. Either they had businesses of their own, or they were in a charitable organization that needed signs or something like that. So it was a lot of, sending out a newsletter saying, I'm in business, I'm a sign person, you need signs, do that. And then they started coming off the internet. So I would say my first 5 customers were friends and family, along with a couple of hits off the internet for the most part.
Okay, which means the customer's chasing you. You're not out cold calling, chasing the customer.
I've made one cold call in 10 years, and I've got 100% close rate on it. So.
All right, way to go. Ron Cochran, first 5 customers, where did they come from?
My same story as Don. There were definitely friends and family to start, because you're going to leverage that. But I like that channel letter call before I even moved in my place. That was an internet lead. So that did start early on, but you're going to hit your friends, family, and some networking stuff, because as soon as you introduce yourself to some of the B&I groups and other networking opportunities, there's usually some quick hits as soon as you get into those. Okay,
Roger Ricketts.
Yep, I mean, ditto that. I mean, we my first couple orders were just contacts I had, some contacts with a couple of property managers for the first couple of jobs, and then as it be said, hit the networking hard. Really work the networking, and that comes up with business pretty quick.
Okay, Jack Werner.
In new owner training, we're getting you 56 different things that you can do to create the buzz, create the activity. But to begin with, it's going to be friends and family. It's going to be joining the chamber, the networking group, the Rotary Club. We're going to help you build an elaborate website before you open, but it takes a little bit of time for Google to really give it the power that it needs. So most Signworld will tell by the end of the first year, 75–80% of their new business is coming from the website. But to begin with, it is more networking through either contacts or through the chamber, the networking groups, the community you're in.
Okay. Since we've already touched on the subject of website internet, I'll ask the next question. What percent today, what percent of your new business, not your repeat business, but your new business comes from your website, from the internet? Don Conklin?
I would say right now, 80% of my, 60% of my business is repeat. Of the 40% that's left over, half of that comes from the internet.
Okay. And the other half comes from referral?
The other half comes from referral, correct.
Okay. Ron Cochran, what percent of your new business comes from the website internet today?
New business, it's 80% of our orders. Maybe not dollar volume, but 80% of our orders. New
And
business.
Roger Ricketts?
Yeah, same thing. It's 80% of new business are because we're just 2 years old, our repeat referral business is growing as a percentage, but right now it's 80% on the web.
Okay. Jack, anything to add?
Go back to Roger and Ron. So Ron, at 4 years in business, what percentage of your business is now repeat customers?
Our repeat is about, we're between 40 and 50% now for repeat.
So
Yeah.
Don's at 60%, 80%, and
60,
Ron's about
60.
40. Roger, where are you at 2 years on repeatable customers?
15 to 20%.
So it takes a couple of years for that to grow, but over time, mature operations will tell you as much as 80% of their business is coming from less than 30 customers. I had 15 customers, it gave me 80% of my business.
Okay, I'm having a senior moment. Where did I leave off? Is it Russ McGregor up next? Or
Dusan?
Dusan, there you go. Sorry, buddy.
It's Dushan. Okay, so I'm another one in very early stages of looking to opportunities. So my questions might be all over the place. So like first, just a few confirmation and clarification from Ken. So Ken, you mentioned 210K, right? But there is a number that is on your brochure, or was it contract, that suggests 350 cash to be. There is a number that shows that kind of not in a contract, like that I need to have, but it suggested that you have cash of 350.
Dusan, are you saying that's one of the Signworld documents, brochures?
Ken, I think he's referring to the net worth number.
Yeah, net worth. Yeah.
Net worth. Yes.
That's not the all in for Signworld.
Yeah,
So-
we want you to have a personal net worth of at least $350,000.
Okay, so it's not something that you expect it to be used,
No.
right?
No.
So,
We
okay.
just-
And then the other thing is just to go quickly through a few just basic things. And I assume that the prices and then cost is in US dollars, and that there is nothing for Canadian to be in Canada. So that's what it is, right? It's all US, regardless.
The Signworld package is $155,000 US. The startup cost of $25,000 is Canadian. You control all that money. The 30,000 of cash reserve is also Canadian. You control all that.
Okay, 155 is US, others is Canadian.
Right.
Okay.
Sean O'Neill.
Yeah.
Sean, come off of mute. Ask a question, Sean.
Yeah, I'd like to understand with the owners, especially the ones that have, as you've been in business for a few years, what kind of product mix did you move from kind of the standard package and maybe some of the standard services that you start out with? How have you diversified? Do you have a niche at this point? What's that look like for you?
Don Conklin, product mix today versus when you started. Do you have any niches?
No niches. We're kind of a jack of all trades. We actually specialize more in the type of customer we serve. We serve many franchisees and customer with multiple locations. So, and we do all the kind of work for them, whether it be a vehicle wrap, a lighted sign, or banners. So we don't really don't specialize in one area. We're diversified across.
Okay. Ron Cochran, 4 years in business.
Vehicle wraps are definitely our number one product category, but we still consider ourselves a generalist. But vehicle wraps make up about a third of our sales.
Okay. Roger Ricketts.
Yeah, I think, I mean, being 2 years in, I mean, the first year or two, you pretty much take everything that comes in the door. But, we're at the stage now where, we're starting to identify business that we don't like, the types of business we don't like, but other types of business that we really do like. Vehicle graphics is a good one for us. We love to do graphics. So I can see it as we go through the third year, it's going to evolve, and I can see our product mix becoming much more focused, by the end of this year.
And Jack Werner, 10 years in business, how did your product mix change over the years? Any niches?
As Roger said in the beginning, your target customer is somebody that needs a sign and has money. After you've done some projects, take care of some customers, you start to realize you like some better than others. You'll start to focus at least into some niches. You'll still be the generalist, taking on the variety, but still have certain areas of expertise. Because I came out of the restaurant world, most of my customers were restaurant chains and retail chains. I could speak their language, not the same people, but similar people. To satisfy that, I brought in a CNC router in year 3. I brought in channel letter bending equipment in year 4, and ended up doing most of my production in-house. Don, while you started selling all these things from day one, what equipment have you brought in since you've started? Other than everything.
We're up to 2 routers, 2 lasers, a channel bender, other stuff to make electrical signs, 3 roll printers, and 1 flatbed printer. So
what percent of your production is now done in-house?
I would say 90 to 95%.
Ron, any extra equipment you brought in?
No, we just have a big panel saw, and we're close to pulling the trigger on our first router.
Good. And Roger, you're still all on the original equipment?
We've added a panel saw. That's it though for now.
Okay, Jody Swanson. Jody, come on from mute. Go ahead.
Hi there. I'm just wondering what your biggest struggle was for not having a sign making background. I noticed telecom was in there, metal was in there, restaurant was in there. So what's the biggest struggle that you had to overcome with not having a sign background?
Don Conklin?
I mean, it was getting customers in the door to start off with. That's always the struggle up front, is to get the revenue in the door so you can actually start making signs. So, and I don't think that's unique to Signworld. I think it's unique to starting a new business from zero, quite frankly.
Ron Cochran?
I think that first employee is going to be critical for you because, I mean, you have some, training and a network to leverage, but you're also going to want to try and find a relatively experienced first employee. Finding that first one will kind of help you like really jumpstart things versus, maybe lagging a little bit.
Roger Ricketts?
Yeah, I think the toughest part for me was just for the people out there. It's part of the process of selling signs. A lot of times you're going to want to do a site survey where you go and meet the person and see where the sign's going to be located and discuss options, etc. And they're going to ask you questions. They're going to expect you to be a sign expert when you go in there. And in the early days, you kind of got to dance and skate around a little bit because they're going to ask you questions that you don't know the answers to. So that was the biggest struggle for me.
Okay, Jack?
Jody, realize nobody that joined Signworld came with sign experience. Not anybody in 33 years between the current owners and the ones that have joined in years past and ran successfully and retired. None of us came with sign experience. What we're really looking for when we talk to the business coaches that have introduced you to Signworld, we're really looking for your project management skill set. We're looking for your relationship building skill set. We're looking for your ability to juggle projects. That's what we're looking for, and teaching you what signs are made, teaching you how to work on the business as opposed to our competition busy working in the business.
Jack, are you going to show some slideshows?
I will. I've got 3 slideshows that we're going to show in the background. They have no audio, so we'll continue with questions while we're talking. The first slideshow shows you some of the facilities inside and out, so you can see what the operations look like and how unique and different they are. We're not cookie cutter like a franchise. The second slideshow is going to show you what is a sign. The first 25 slides are projects you'll make in-house with the original equipment. The next section of that shows you projects that you'll outsource. And the third part of that is showing you projects that you wouldn't even think of as a sign because it's just graphics on everything. And then the third slideshow, while you're taking on smaller projects in the beginning, the projects become more elaborate. So it's somewhere Wall of Fame showing you some of the bigger and more unique projects that Signworld Owners have accomplished. So these slideshows go on in the background. Ken, go ahead and continue with questions.
Okay, Todd Werner. Todd, come off of mute.
My question is kind of similar to the last one, but what is the most unexpected challenge that you encountered as like a new owner?
Okay. Don Conklin.
I don't know. Maybe it's keeping up with getting the right people into the organization as you grow. It's hiring people. I mean, and that's again not unique just to Signworld, unique to any small business. Getting the right people to be on board. So that's the biggest challenge I think we've had.
And Ron Cochran.
Yeah, for me, it was HR related. I had no experience with that before. So hiring and firing was a new experience and definitely, tough for me to do. So, but you figure it out quick.
Roger Ricketts.
I think the biggest challenge was a little surprising to me. I mean, compared to a corporate job, there's a lot more emotion wrapped up in this type of thing because it's your own, and you survive or fail based on what you do. So it was, particularly in the first year, was just managing the emotions of the business, and, keeping it straight.
Okay, and Jack.
The reason why you're joining an organization as opposed to going out and starting the business on your own is that you're not an expert at everything. So the person that hasn't done sales before is learning customer interface. Person that hasn't hired and managed staff, that can be an issue. The person doesn't have a understanding of QuickBooks and learning how to look at a P&L statement and understand it is a challenge. So it's your biggest weakness will be your biggest challenge. So it's shoring those up, hiring to mitigate that, and leaning on the rest of the system to help you fill in those gaps.
Okay. Mike O'Neill. Mike, come off of mute.
All right. Hi. I'm a little bit farther in the process with this, and actually, I think I've spoken to all of the owners that are on today, and so I guess you guys talked a little bit about how quickly you guys get to make get positive income. I guess my other question is without being too specific is, how quickly or what was your total average of what was your take home income, like year one versus year two and so forth?
Don Conklin.
I always tell people that it's basically a 20 to 25% margin business. So for you to get a 6-figure income, it's about $500,000 in revenue. That's kind of how we judge it. We got there in year two. So we were making probably about 6 figures year two, year three. And now we're at 27% margin on $3.5 million. So you can do the quick math on that one.
Okay. Thank you, Don. Congratulations. Ron Cochran.
Yeah, we're at a 20% margin.
Okay. And gross sales?
Well, our projection for this year is 625. We had we got hammered by COVID last year. We closed for a while, so in the New York metro area. So a little bit of a tough year.
And Roger Ricketts.
Yeah, so as I said, year two, we did 400,000, which is less than we thought we were going to do because of COVID, and our margins are 20%.
Okay, and Jack Werner.
My ramp up was 430, 580, 780 to $1 million. I was running at a 25% net.
Okay. Scott Roush.
Anything's close. It's all good.
All right.
Actually, most of the questions I had have been answered, but I guess the one question I did have, certainly COVID hasn't gone away yet, and the way things are going, sometimes I wonder if it's coming back again. But how did you deal with COVID, other than I heard a couple of you shut down for a while, but still, you still got to keep selling or keep the business moving forward at some point. So what things have you put in place to try to deal with this scenario at this point?
Don Conklin?
I think it really depends on the part of the country you're in. We're in Georgia. We locked down for about a month, and then we were back in business. we're a essential business in signs, so we never really had to shut down ourselves. But it's really a matter of continuing to work it, right? We sold probably, oh, I want to say $200,000 worth of COVID signs, but most of those, and if not all of those, were to our existing customers who had a need now for the COVID spacing and self-spacing. A good friend of ours from Chicago who owns another sign company told me he did $1 million in COVID signage last year. So while there might have been a pandemic, there was also an opportunity for signage to help out. So.
Okay. Ron Cochran?
Yeah, being in, like Don said, area, I think had a little something to do with it. And we were in the New York metro area, which was pretty much the epicenter of it when it started. All the number of Signworld people in the area, we pretty much had to shut down. We've been able to come back. I still have a person remote. So when we were coming back, we had to basically set everybody up to try and be remote. I was the only one in the office for a while as we tried to kind of work our way back. So you manage it. Our average order went from almost $2,000 to under $1,000. But it is now basically working its way back up as things loosen up. So you find ways to deal with it.
Right. And Roger Ricketts?
Yeah, so we're based in Orlando, which is obviously tourism. So the city got probably hit harder than most. So what happened with us? I mean, when we had the shutdown in March, I mean, we were really busy up to that point. So it just slowed our growth dramatically in the spring of 2020, but it picked up again fairly quickly. And even though Orlando is still suffering because of tourism, there's still a lot of our customers are principally other small businesses, and that's still very active. So I think what COVID did for us, it kind of slowed our progress down a little bit, but I don't see it having much of an effect now going forward.
Okay, and Jack?
As we communicate with the Signworld owners around the country, it's interesting to see how it changed. Somewhat depended on the how severe it was. New York got hit really hard early. Other areas got hit harder later. It depended on how the businesses shut down or open. Some Signworld owners are very busy and never touched a COVID sign. Others are busy in spite of it. For the most part, I think the ones that were hurt in spring will tell you that the fall made up for it, and overall the year was not necessarily a bigger year, but still a good, successful year. But I think what you also want to think about is how healthy can we be while we're in business? If this is a business park model where you're a couple thousand square feet with a couple of employees, you got space. You're meeting with only a couple customers a day, some of that by Zoom, and much of that outside, so you can feel safe. If your sign maker's in the back room wrapping a vehicle, he's safe. He's doing an installation on the outside of the building, he's safe. He's putting signs in the corporate office, the customer's saying, put those signs over here and we'll wait over here while you work over there. So we haven't had a lot of Signworld health issues. Most of the health issues have come from personal life being brought into the business as opposed to from the business. So you can feel healthy while you're in business as opposed to some of the other franchises you might be looking at where there's a lot of customer interaction and you cannot feel healthy.
Okay, thank you. Jennifer Alexander. Jennifer, come off of mute. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Hi, guys. Just wondering, if you could go back to your first year, what is the one thing you would do differently and why?
Don Conklin?
I would market my business as soon as I signed the contract to join Signworld. I waited. I tried to straddle my old job and my new job, and it put me back about a month and a half. So I would definitely start marketing as soon as I made the commitment.
Ron Cochran?
I would have worked on a business system a little earlier. Early on, you're going to just take every single order, and we just kind of took it and kind of had a little bit of a half-assed system to get orders through. We were just kind of making them without a good plan. So we've worked hard on that, but I would have started creating that system earlier.
Okay, Roger Ricketts.
Two things for me. I think I would have set up the website earlier. I think, as Jack mentioned, the website does take some time to get traction. So we, the earlier you can do it, the better it is. You can't do it too early. The other one is again on procedures. We developed some procedures, then we got busy, and you didn't have the time to finish the procedures. And if I look at the areas of the business that we're best at, it's the areas that we have procedures in place. So I wish we worked harder at procedures earlier before we got too busy.
Jack?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that need to be done. You got to get the word out there and start doing the networking to get the leads in, but you've got to put the energy into the internet. Just getting a website up is only the beginning. It's the blogging and the posting of pictures and other things. Not all that you need to do. You need to have the staff help with that. So it's not you trying to do it all. As Roger and Ron have talked about, it's building the process procedures to grow. As Don has talked about, hiring more staff. It's making sure you're continuing to get the culture to adapt to it. There's a lot of things you got to wrap your arms around, and they're all important for growing the business.
Okay. Sandra.
Shahoon. Don't worry, nobody.
Sahun.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
go ahead, Sandra.
Thanks. When you're winning new business, whether it's when you first start out or now, how percentage-wise, how much do you think your customers think about signs as a commodity, and you're competing really pretty much based on price?
Okay, great question. Great question. Don Conklin, how often do you compete on price?
For the most part, we don't compete on price that much because, we are not the low price person. We're not the wholesale. What do I call? We are. If there's a situation where there's a bid with three bids for a project, and the criteria is lowest price, I won't even bother wasting my time to do that. We sell ourselves on quality and customer service. We get into bidding situations, maybe on, maybe 3, 5, maybe 7% of our projects, but we win all of them because we choose which ones we're going to go ahead and from that standpoint.
Okay, so you're not bidding out of desperation to get more business, more customers?
Not anymore.
Okay. Ron Cochran, your thoughts?
Yeah, very few bids, just price. The big thing for us is response time. Don will tell you that. He's one of the guys I lean on for advice as I've gone through. But response time is huge. So you'll find that if you can get back to customers quickly, that they're impressed with your response, because the industry in general is terrible with response times. So if you get back to a customer quickly, I know one of Don's stories is, he did an order, completed the entire order, and it was a big sign, like a monument sign or something, and the other company still hadn't gotten their bids back to the customer. So you're going to find that a lot. If you can respond quickly, then price becomes less of an issue.
Okay. And Roger Ricketts?
Yeah, I think what Ron said. I mean, I'd say we are in a competitive situation less than 10% of the time. And it dramatically changes if you do go on a site survey and you can get good at site surveys. I mean, it just, the hit rate becomes into the 90s, I think. I'll just, give you one example of one job that we did. It was a lobby sign for an office. And we went down to do a site survey. We were on time. We were clear and crisp of what they wanted to do. And the lady, when I finished, said, "By the way, thanks for coming in on time. Actually, you know what? Thanks for coming in." And I think that tells you, exactly what the standards of the sign business are. So you can really differentiate yourself very quickly with good service and responsiveness.
Okay, we're coming up to our last question. So if anybody who has already gone, if you have more questions, go to the bottom of your screen where it says raise hand and click on raise hand, and then we'll call on you. Rick Huck, welcome. Don't know if you had a chance to tell everybody where you live. Where do you live, Rick?
Yeah, I'm in Canton, Georgia.
Canton, Georgia. Okay, welcome. Go ahead, Rick, with your question.
Okay, I was wondering if somebody could walk me through briefly the anatomy of a vehicle wrap job. From the moment this person walks in the door and says, "I've got a truck I want to wrap," or whatever, what is involved at that point, and how long is it kind of cradle to grave by the time you get that vehicle wrapped?
So Don Conklin, why don't you start off and tell us what you just did, like 50 vehicles in how many days? Go ahead, Don.
Yeah, we did a fleet of vehicles here back in December and January. 50 vehicles. You might have seen one on the Super Bowl commercial for Vroom, which is Carvana's competitor. And it took about a week to get the design done with the customer, but once the design was done, we were wrapping 2 to 3 vehicles a day. Got 50 done in 25 days. So, it's a matter of, in general, once you get the design done with the customer, it's as simple as, measuring the vehicle, printing the wrap, laminating the wrap, wrapping the vehicle. I'd say it takes about 3 to 4 days from when the customer says yes with the design and gives you the deposit. So.
Okay.
And do you use like software that's specifically for vehicle wrap design to do this? And is it all done?
We do. We
in-house?
have a couple of softwares that have the measurements and everything else for the vehicle, so you can kind of lay it out and determine how much square footage you're going to need and how to lay it out. And if you hire a decent designer or for a salesperson, they've probably had that experience now too, because wraps have been around for a good 20 years plus now.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
To add to that, Rick, as a customer, we'll send you a picture of your exact vehicle, what it's going to look like when it's all done before we even start working on it.
Oh,
So we'll pull up a template of your exact vehicle. So those are all on the internet.
That's fantastic.
And then we'll just lay the artwork on top, and you'll see the finished product before we even start working on it. Ron Cochran, do you have anything to add as far as the process that start to finish on vehicle wraps?
Yeah, for new customers, it's probably half and half actually already have a design that they send you that you're just fitting to their car or van. The other half, we're creating the design. So the projects are typically between 1 and 2 weeks, pretty standard, just because when there's design involved, sometimes, proofing goes back and forth a little bit. But we also have customers that just drop trucks off at our place, and we don't even know they're coming because they know they're like, drop it off. We know you'll get it done. And, that stuff we can usually get done for them within 2 to 3 days. We've got the in-house guys to do it.
Very good. Very good.
Okay. Roger Ricketts, anything to add to vehicle wraps?
I would just say, just without getting too technical, I mean, technically wraps, so we wrap the entire vehicle. I think what we do mostly is vehicle graphics, where you're putting graphics on the vehicle, you're not completely wrapping it. And it can go from anywhere from a very simple, put some phone numbers and logo on a door, to we've done a complete wrap of a couple of food trucks and the design too. So it runs the gamut, but it's very, very profitable business.
Jack Werner, your thoughts?
Nothing to add to this question, but I want to make a comment back to Sandra's question about commodity business. There's a segment of the world where price is the only motivator, and that's all they're concerned with. The other 2/3 of the population are either going to check out some prices, but buy from somebody qualified. But we're really looking for the customer who says, I just got to get this done. Signs don't justify a line item in the P&L statement. So can you go chase the bid shopper? Sure. But we really encourage you to deal with the other 2/3 of the population, where they're either going to talk to somebody reliable and competent because you have sophisticated software to put together that quote effectively. You probably have quotes back to the customer before the competition's even responded to the request. So we're really trying to find that customer who says, I need to have this taken care of, be reliable.
Okay, we have some more questions with people who have their hands raised. Russ McGregor. Russ, come off of mute. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Ken. Thanks. So I was thinking about, we were talking a little bit about those owners that pivoted to making signs for COVID, the distancing signs and so forth, and I sure see a lot of that. I was thinking, what percentages of owners broadly that you're aware of, since you may not be one of them, do they specialize in something like, let's say, eco-friendly signs or COVID-19 signage in grocery stores and things like that?
Jack Werner, why don't you handle that question?
Some are doing a lot of the restaurant stuff. Some are doing the hospital protocol signs. We've got a Signworld in Baltimore that is taking care of a new division of warehouses for Lowe's that doesn't deal with the public. It deals with companies and needing cleaning supplies. I think he's done 12 to 15 warehouses now that are $30,000 of signage per warehouse. Is a $300,000-400,000 customer. A new industry because of COVID. It's all over the board of what they're doing, but realize a lot of those signs are very temporary in durability. They're going to have to be replaced, and it's going to be a long time until we're done with that. Those sneeze guards are only have a certain life expectancy. They're going to have to be replaced, and while a lot of them are clear right now, it's a perfect opportunity for a sign opportunity. So those sneeze guards are going to get graphics on them. So our world has increased on the places to put signs because of COVID.
Well, so related to that, to the idea of replacing the signage, what do you hear from customers about wanting to be as environmentally friendly as they can? You can replace a sticker on a clear plastic thing, but if you have to recycle all the signs and stuff, are customers that push back against that and say, come up with a bamboo sign rather than whatever it is?
We'll let Don Conklin answer that question. 10 years in business. Don, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, in Georgia, we don't care about the environment. No, only kidding. No, you don't typically see people push back about that. We have eco-friendly printers and stuff like that. We're pretty environmentally friendly, but vinyl is vinyl and materials are materials. And I haven't had the first customer push back on me because I, wasn't making an eco-friendly sign, quite frankly.
But Russ, from an eco-friendly standpoint, we can match your needs. If you're the customer, whatever you want, we'll get it done for you. We'll get it done for you. Paul Bohr has a question. Paul, come off of mute. Go ahead.
Yeah, would you do it again?
Oh, great one. Don Conklin, would you do it again?
Sometimes I would do it 10 years earlier, but I was in the right spot in my life. All my kids were getting out of college, so it was great for me and Teresa to be able to run this business and bring 2 of our sons into the business with us. So.
Okay. And Ron Cochran, would you do it again?
I would. And yeah, I have a brother that works with me too. So it was good timing to get family involved also.
Roger Ricketts, would you do it again?
Yes, I would. I've said this to several people that, it's obviously the first year can be, is a challenge, just to say the least. But I never once, said to anybody I regret doing this. And I personally think I chose well by going into the sign business. It's for a lot of reasons. I think the sign business is an attractive business to be in.
Jack Werner, would you do it again?
25 years ago, best decision I made in business.
Most Signworld owners would probably say, Paul, that they wish they would have started sooner in life in their own business. Mike O'Neill, come off of mute. Mike, you have a question? Go ahead.
Yes, I do. So my question actually is 2 questions, but they're both related to each other. I'm right now in the process of looking into talking to the website designers, and the 3 that are, I guess, recommended from Signworld itself. So my first question is that what were the important factors for you guys when you were, in deciding on which website design company to use? And my second question is that how difficult or what were the main factors in coming up with your name?
Okay, Mike, first of all, please know that website companies have changed over the years. So what we presented to Don Conklin 10 years ago is probably completely different today. But anyhow, Don, what were the factors in choosing your website company
Quite frankly, I want to focus on getting customers in the door. So we took the Signworld recommendation at the time. It's not recommended anymore. Like you said, Ken, has evolved. As far as our name is concerned, my wife and I love to ski, and we want to help our customers reach the pinnacle of the mountains. So that's where we came from Pinnacle Custom Signs.
And Ron Cochran?
Initially, I had this vision about how I wanted the website to look. I had this thought it would be really cool if it looked like this, and I wanted to control all the pages, and I wanted to write all the blogs myself, which would save money. As I got into it, just didn't have time. I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do, and completely reverse course. Just wanted somebody to get the phone to ring more and get more leads to come in, and paid another Signworld recommended company, completely switched course and had them do whatever the hell they wanted to do to get the phone to ring, instead of worrying about, how pretty each page looked. But it was a Signworld recommended company.
How'd you pick your name?
Oh, that was a lot of family involved and plane flights back and forth from Signworld training.
Okay. Roger Ricketts, how did you pick your name?
We picked our name. Our name is Visual Signs. It came in two areas. I wanted to have somewhat of a corporate name. We figured we could differentiate ourselves by appealing to a corporate crowd. Might have a corporate background. And my daughter is a graphic designer. She actually works full time in the company now. So she came up with the name and the logo. As far as digital marketing is concerned, my view was any areas when I started the business, any areas where I was not an expert in digital marketing, I'm certainly not an expert. I was going to follow the Signworld model, to the T in year one, just because I don't know any better. And I think that worked well. The other thing I would just say to you that, and I really want to emphasize this because I've learned this lesson. It's very valuable to have a digital marketing company that understands the sign business. Because I've had one that did, and I've had one that didn't. And I can tell you that the difference was stark. So.
Okay. Jack Werner?
Lost the question for a minute. Picking a name, my company was 3D Signs, Dennis, Danny, and David, named after my kids. So your name is either going to come from something personal to you, but be careful you don't go too far off the rails and pick something really weird. The second is going to come from the marketing message you're trying to deliver, of your skill set, of what you're trying to impart for the customers. The third is going to possibly come from internet marketing and trying to regionalize it. So if somebody types in Orlando signs, you come up for multiple reasons. So it's one of those three that's going to pick the name. As far as picking your provider, I think over the years, we've really tried to narrow the field of who are the right ones out there. And I really think it falls more to personality of the contact you're going to have there. And are you going to relate with them? Are they going to be able to understand your needs and whatever that you can communicate well with them?
Okay. Jennifer Alexander, come off of mute. Go ahead, Jennifer.
So with any investment into a business, it really is an investment. You're kind of looking to sink a lot of your future into this and then create your own destiny. My question is maybe more for you, Ken, but what is the outlook for the exit plan? When you go to sell your business, what does that look like as far as recouping your investment and anything more that you would get out of it?
On Conklin, tell us about your exit strategy.
My exit strategy is to hand it off to my sons, quite frankly, but I've had offers on the table to buy my company for $4.5 million. It's a manufacturing facility. It's not a services industry. You have structure, you have equipment. It is valued much higher than any other service industry that you can try to resell out there. The average sign company goes for between 75 and 100% of top line revenue. I've seen it, I've researched it. And if I wanted to sell tomorrow, I could find a buyer probably overnight if I wanted to. So it's a matter of building the business and putting process in place. It's pretty simple. We could have done it after 5 years if we wanted to.
Ron Cochran, your exit strategy.
Well, I want the option to be there for my boys to take over if they want. And if not, I'll be selling it.
Okay. Roger Ricketts, your exit strategy.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I've got my daughter's now in the business. She's a graphic designer. It's not really an exit strategy. My plan over time is for her to take the heavy lifting off me bit by bit, and I would like to keep the pieces of the business that we like to do. I like to sell. So I probably will not retire. I'll probably just dial it back quite a bit and just work part time eventually and do the things I like to do.
Jack Werner, exit strategy.
Jennifer, it's a great question. Realize that 99% of people going into business don't have an exit plan in place. Know that in Signworld, it's the very first topic we talk about on Monday morning at new owner training. Setting up the business with a plan in place, so when you're ready to sell, it's going to sell for the most amount of money. That comes from building processes and procedures. It comes from building staff and culture. It comes from building a book of reliable customers. It comes from keeping good record keeping. I would challenge you, of all the other franchises that you're looking at, do any of them even talk about exit strategy planning? And it's our very first topic because of the value of it. We have a Signworld owner I talked to last week. Started 10 years ago, ran his business to $2 million in gross, 500 net income, and just sold it for $2 million, 10 times what he paid for it. This is a business that has good residual value. I sold mine for 8 times what I paid for it after 10 years.
I have some additional thoughts on exit strategy. There's only 4 types of businesses in the world today. 1 is a manufacturing business, 2 is distribution, 3 is a retail business, and 4 is a service business. As already mentioned, the sign business, Signworld, we're a manufacturing business. As Jack mentioned, we've already had resales, $2 million. So here's what a $2 million Signworld looks like. First of all, it's 1 building. Second, benchmark, it's 14 employees. Third, it's a couple hundred customers in any given year, where 80% of your money is coming from your top 20. And 4, it's 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and you're home for dinner every night. But here's what a $2 million service business looks like. Instead of 1 building, you could very well have multiple buildings. Instead of 14 employees, more than likely you're going to have 100 employees. Instead of a couple of hundred customers, 80% of your money coming from your top 20, you're going to have 1,000 or more customers. Instead of 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, there's a high possibility that your service business is going to be 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, most of your money coming in on Saturday. So the question that you want to ask yourself, folks, is, do you want to go through for the next chapter in your life, which may be 10 or 15 years? Do you want to go through that human resource nightmare? Because to end up with 100 employees means between now and then, you're going to have to hire 400, recruit them and train them, and some are going to leave you and some you're going to terminate. Do you want to build 1,000 customers, or would you rather have a business with repeat customers? Don Cochran, would you say that at $4 million in gross sales, that 80% of your money comes from less than 20 customers?
I would say it's close to that, Ken, yes.
Say that again, Don.
I'd say it would be close to that. It might be 25, but yes, close to that.
Okay. And Ron Cochran? Would you say 80% of your money comes from less than 20 customers?
Yes, actually, yes. We're there.
Roger Ricketts?
No, I think we're a little too young for that yet, just 2 years in. But I could see at this juncture how it'll evolve that way. So,
okay. Well, we're out of time. I want to thank our panel. Don Conklin, always good to see you. Thank you very much. Ron Cochran, thank you. Good to see you. Roger Ricketts, likewise, good to see you. Thank you. And Jack, do you want to close it out for us?
I will. Thank you guys again for being here for your busy days. For those that are attending, go back to Dan, Ken, or myself, have more conversation, get into validation, talking to Signworld owners. We have another webinar like this on Wednesday, March 10th. Different panel of owners, different attendees. So repetitive in format, but definitely different in content. And if you can hear similar questions asked with similar answers, that helps certify that is the answer. We have a Discovery Day once a month. There's one this Friday, which for most of you is probably too soon. Next one is scheduled for Friday, March 19th. So let's work towards that day. It's a 7-hour day of Zoom. It's a long time to sit in front of Zoom, but I guarantee you every hour is different. We take a break after every hour, and it's a good deep dive into understanding who Signworld is and where we're at. We wish you all the best in your quest. Stay safe, stay healthy, and let's talk some more. Thank you all.